Have you ever walked out of a leadership workshop with a ton of notes, feeling inspired, but then a few weeks later, you notice that nothing really changed? I'm Gia Lacqua, leadership strategist, trauma informed empowerment coach, and former Fortune 100 vice president. Today, I want to talk about what neuroscience reveals and why most leadership training fails, and what strategies actually create lasting change. Unfortunately, most leadership training just doesn't stick because it's too focused on the transfer of information rather than leading people through a real transformation. And after 2 decades in corporate America, I've experienced the gap between what leaders know intellectually and how they're actually showing up under pressure. And my work now is all about closing that gap. Let's break it down. Most programs focus on skills like time management, communication techniques, and decision making frameworks. Training often treats leadership like skill stacking. I'm sure you've all heard it before, adding one more tool to your toolbox. But leaders don't fail because they don't know what to do. They fail because they can't embody it when the pressure is really on. I remember early on in my career, I was sitting across from a direct report delivering a performance review. And this was my first difficult performance review. And I had gone through the leadership training about having tough conversations and active listening and providing objective examples. But the moment that conversation got uncomfortable, when she challenged me on my decision, I defaulted to defending myself, to controlling the narrative, to shutting it down, not because I didn't know better, but because the stress hijacked me. And on paper, I knew what I was supposed to do. But in practice, the fear of being disliked, it just took over. So that moment taught me that leadership isn't about memorizing frameworks. It's about whether you can embody your leadership in those stressful moments. Now, about 80% of the signals between our brain and body travel from the body to the brain, not the other way around. Let that sink in. Leadership is not just cognitive, it's in your body, it's in your nervous system, your posture, your breath, your presence. All shape how you feel and how others perceive you before you even say a word. Now, the brain is rewired through practice. Neuroplasticity means that we can create new patterns, but it requires two things: repetition and emotional relevance. A former client came to me. She was exhausted. She was a classic people pleaser. She said yes to every request at work. Now, intellectually, she knew what to say. I'd love to, but I don't have the capacity right now. But knowing that and actually doing it are not the same. So we practiced, we rehearsed, she role played the boundary conversation with me. And at first, her voice shook, her body got tense. And then what we did is we tied something to those conversations that was deeply emotional to her. Her daughter asking, "Mom, why are you always working at night and on weekends?" Suddenly, the no wasn't just a tactic. It was an act of protection because she tied it to her why. And the repetition rewired her nervous system, but the emotional hook is what made it stick. Training has to go beyond knowledge and target identity. It has to shift from what they have to do to who they want to be. One executive was burning out because she equated her worth with doing everything herself. Sound familiar? We didn't just work on delegation tactics, although that is a part of it. She had to rewire her identity from "I'm valuable because I deliver" to "I am a leader who creates impact through others." Another client came to me saying, "I know what I'm doing, but I'm still not confident in my abilities. And no amount of extra training will fix that. The real breakthrough came when she shifted from I'm someone who knows my job to I'm an authority whose voice is needed in this room. So here's the takeaway: most leadership training fails because it targets knowledge, not behavior. So if you want transformation that actually lasts, it has to engage the body brain connection, use repetition and emotional relevance, equip leaders to regulate stress, and rewire their identity, not just stack more skills. See, leadership isn't about doing more, it's about becoming the kind of person who leads with self trust, clarity, and unapologetic authenticity, even when it's hard, especially then. So, if you want to learn more about neuroscience, trauma informed leadership, and practical ways to grow as a leader, stick around as I'll be sharing more advice and knowledge to help you along the way. Together, we'll work to close the truth gap and build leadership that sticks long after the workshop ends. Thanks for being here. See you next time.